Okay, let's take our first question here. How does the County Judicial Center impact the city?
Quite a bit. It was a situation that through the county offices, there's probably 300 jobs that are brought into the downtown area daily. And those workers go to lunch, they support our businesses downtown and surrounding out in Grand Valley area. When it was discussed that the judicial system, we had to vacate an alley. And this was a difficult decision for our council because we knew we were going to be encroaching on a business. And I guarantee you there's no one, and I mean no one in this room that has worked more with Flowers by Dewey in the last 40 years than Debbie and I. Stop and think about it. So it was a very difficult decision. Mooresville was willing to give the county 12 acres to relocate the county offices there. And it was a difficult decision for our council to have to realize that we were going to maybe jeopardize one of our local businesses, but we had to make that decision in order to save all the others because, like I said, 300 jobs daily coming into the downtown area, that is a large influence on our businesses there. If we'd have lost that, all the growth that we've had the last 6 years in downtown would have been gone. So it's very, very vital to the survival of Martinsville.
And has that business, it's Dewey's, has it relocated?
They are relocating this week to South Ohio Street. Difficult decision for them to have to go through and to make that move. But I think that they'll realize that that'll be a positive place for them. A lot of traffic, a lot of growth going on Ohio Street right now. We have a Culver's that's going to be coming in there at Ohio and Poston Road. There's a couple other businesses that are looking to go in where the old Pizza Hut and the Mexican restaurant was. So a lot of growth in that area. So I think it'd be a good move for them.
There's always a lot of talk about the need for things to do, particularly for kids. Many of these things would require private investment. How can the city support and encourage that?
We can keep reaching out to different businesses, different investors trying to come into Martinsville. I think the skate park is a fantastic thing, again, that Mr. Porter has kind of taken on himself to gather all the information and get this to be a dream for a lot of people in Martinsville to come true. We're looking at the Southview Drive area. We lost a lot of homes in there during the flood. Our vision is to make this kind of like Cascade Park in Bloomington, where they have the stream going through, the kids can play in, they got playground equipment. So our vision is to put the skate park there, clean up Indian Creek, to where young people can get in there and play and wade in the water, and have some playground equipment in there and a couple of shelter houses. So as people are traveling up and down the highway, they can look over there and think, that looks kind of nice. I bet this must be a nice community. Let's pull off and look and see what else they have to offer. So we see that as an opportunity to bring residents in. Another thing that we're looking at, we've got a levee project that we're working on. Gary's been working on that last several months. And our dream would be, and for those of you real quick, if you take the bypass out to 67, on the left, we've got to build a new levee. This is a $23 million project. Now, what we want to make sure everybody realizes, $20 million of that is not a grant. Well, it is a grant. I was going to say, it's not a bond, it is a grant. This is money that we were able to get and secure through the state, and we have to pledge $3 million as our portion. We're going to construct the new levee through there, and we would love someday to be able to get between the bypass and the new levee, purchase that property in order to have a sports complex for the young people. But as long as we can keep doing some of those things, improve our park system, improve our trails and paths, this will attract younger families to Martinsville, because where we're located is just perfect between Indianapolis and Bloomington. So as we attract more and more families, then we're going to attract private industry, private investors to come in and do more things for families.
Okay. I'm just excited to get all the questions. So,
I'll let you answer.
why is the new venue fenced in? Does that mean we can't use it?
No.
Have you been asked that lately?
We misfenced it, in case any of you saw that on Facebook. I was given some screenshots of some fencing that was done. No, the fencing's there because in order to have an event with alcohol, you had to have fencing. So we looked at purchasing temporary fence, or when Rob Helms would give the concerts, we would bring out the old orange snow fence and put around there. Well, the venue's too nice of a place to do that. So then we looked at buying temporary bike fence. It's kind of 8 or 10 foot sections that you put up. It's got the slots in it. And we looked at how much it would cost to buy enough of that fencing to put in there. And it was too much money. We could fence it for permanent fence and leave it there. Because the other thing, if you had the temporary fence, every event you had, the alcohol was going to be served. We were going to have to put all this fencing out every time. So it was very labor intense keeping it up there. So it just made sense to go ahead and put permanent fence around. Now, at Jefferson Street, we've bought some temporary fence that we'll put up there. And then once we take these gates that were misplaced, we'll take those out and we'll put temporary fence on over to the alley part. So we'll be entirely fenced, which will make it give us approval to be able to serve alcohol during the events, and that's why the fencing was put up.
Now, did I see something where someone was concerned about access for wheelchairs and stuff to the sidewalks?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, the gate. They're right behind the art sanctuary. Right. There were 2 gates put across the alley. So as you came down the sidewalk, there was a gate that was shut. So you couldn't get on the sidewalk going on the north side of the art sanctuary. So the contractors put those in, I think it was last Friday. Thankfully, some people started pointing out to us on Facebook. They will be removed as soon as we can get them here in town and get it done.
Okay. Is there a long-term vision for future parks development past the skate park? What's next? Any plan for trails? You kind of touched on that. I mentioned
about that, but I'd love to have a sports park over there on the bypass area. And how many have been up to Waverly Park to look at the trail there? That is the best kept secret that we have in Morgan County. Now, what we need to do is work on bringing that trail on down along the river into Martinsville. Come out of Martinsville, go to Paragon to Burkhart Creek, go from Burkhart Creek to Eminence. And I know not very many people are from Eminence in here, but it's awfully dear to my heart. But up to Eminence, over to Monrovia, and back to Mooresville, and over to Waverly. So we can encompass the entire county on some type of trail system. And Kenny Hill has done a fantastic job in starting this. We just need to make sure we keep encouraging him and keep investing the funds in that park trail, because we're the last donut county to develop around Indianapolis, and we have the best resources here besides the people are our hills and our trails. And if we can capitalize on that, then we can bring people to Morgan County. And I made a comment about a year ago. I was able to speak at a luncheon in Mooresville, and right now, between the city, the county, and Mooresville and Monrovia, we all have to work together. We have to, the people that are elected to serve you need to check their egos at the doors and go in and look and think, what's the best for our county? Because what happens in Monrovia and Mooresville will benefit us here. If we have families moving into Martinsville, then they can work in Mooresville or Monrovia, but stay here. This would be their home. So anything that we do anywhere in the county is going to benefit all of us. So we have to work together to make that happen.
The new venue is a great addition to downtown. Will the space be used for more than just a few concerts? If so, what?
Right now we got 15 different events planned this year. It's going to be handled through the park. All the booking and everything will be there. Rob Helms has several of the free concerts we already had planned there. They've got 4 movie nights that they want to have, and they have plans for a father-daughter dance one night on Jefferson Street. So a lot of different things. And when we first looked at the plans for that area, I was kind of the one thinking, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. You know, this is kind of silly. But now that it's built, that's fantastic. And shame on us if we build it and we don't use it. We need to make sure it's used to its most potential. I think also there's a few weddings that have been looked to be booked in there.
Excuse me. Where does the city stand on increasing affordable and workforce housing?
We've had a couple of different business investors come in to look at this area, especially down the Morton Avenue corridor. There's a couple tracts of property there. I think the biggest issue is we need to educate everybody on what workforce development housing is. Unfortunately, a lot of people hear workforce development, they automatically think Section 8. That's not the case. Workforce development are people that are working. They've got to reach a certain percentage of the median salary here in the county. So the people that are living there are working. This is maybe a married couple that's getting started before they get into a house. So we need to increase that. So we are entertaining a couple of different options with a couple of investors, and Morton Avenue seems like the area that they're being attracted to at this point.
As inconvenient as construction is, it's good to see new sidewalks around the schools. What progress has been made on I'm sorry, I can't. Oh, paving and sidewalks, and how are areas prioritized?
On the paving of the streets, back in 2018, the city council at the time paid a company to come in and do a report and rated all of our streets. So right now, when we first started in 2020 on our paving, that's what we were going off of. What were the worst streets? And you know, unfortunately, or fortunately, or however you want to look at it, Sharman Estates was one of the worst streets. And that was the first section that we paved, and that is my neighborhood. But it happened to be on the map, and it was the worst one. So we've looked through the PASER report on which area to go. We just redid the PASER report here a few months ago, and we've got a lot of streets that we've paved. As of right now, we've paved over 37 miles of streets in the city. This year, at the end of the year, we'll have gone about 12 and a half more. So we'll have paved right at 50 miles of streets. The city has about 88 miles of streets. As far as the sidewalks, we're looking at the schools and safety for the students walking to school. So that's our first phase that we're just now finishing up. That's what we looked at. We opened bids last night for our second phase, which is still going to be at about $1 million worth of sidewalks put in. And just a tidbit, and Wallace Construction can't answer this, but does anybody have any idea how much it costs to pave one side of a block for sidewalks? $20,000. That's not both sides. That's one block, one side, $20,000. So even though we've got $1 million to work with, it doesn't go as far as we'd like for it to go. But again, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And so we've just started gridding things off and how we're going to just keep chugging on this the next few years.
What is the status of the skate park? We've answered that. How can we ensure the future of Martinsville by engaging youth involvement in governance now?
Well, I think Mayor Cole had started the youth service here at the school when she was mayor. That was something that I wanted to try to continue in 2020, but about March of 2020, we had a small thing come through called the pandemic that stopped any involvement with the school. Now that we're through that, I'm hoping next year that we can start working back with the school system, because we've got a great relationship with our public school and with our private school. And we need to reach out to them and see how can we get the students engaged and get them more educated on what city government's all about.
So this next coming school year, you're hoping?
Yeah.
Can you address how all of the recent and upcoming city projects are funded and how that impacts taxes?
Okay. We have funded most of it through our RDC, the Redevelopment Commission. Prior to our administration taking office January 20, there were 7 contracts that were signed prior to that with no funding allocated. So we were tasked, and we couldn't back out of the projects. It was like Ohio Street project, South Street project. So we turned to our RDC, the Redevelopment Commission. We bonded $15 million through that, the RDC, to fund those projects. There's another one that is the Hacker Drive sanitary sewer project, and then we've got a sewer project going up to on North Main Street. We also just completed a $3 million, we haven't completed, we're about halfway through, a $3 million lift station out on Artesian Boulevard. This is going to allow us to put the housing out in that area, and that's approximately 500 to 550 homes that will be coming in that area. It also allowed us to push water and sanitation across 69 up at Faith Church. Now we can go ahead and start annexing properties on the eastern side of the city, bringing them in. Those were all funded through the RDC. The RDC is funded through TIF. And the easiest way to explain what TIF is it's the difference. Let's say I had a house and it was valued at $100. I go in and I do some work on it, fix it up, and now all of a sudden it's valued at $200. The tax increment of that $100 is what TIF is, and that's how the RDC finances all their projects. So when you see all the projects going on Ohio Street, those new buildings and things are going to be generating money to our RDC. And that's how we're going to fund. We did bond for a new police station that we're going to hopefully break ground probably sometime in July over on West Morgan Street. That was a $5.8 million project. Now, we did bond for that. Now, if you look at our tax rate, in about 2019, I believe it was $1.57. And if you look over here on one of the boards, I think right now we're down to $1.47. So even though we've done a lot of paving, a lot of concrete, we're relining sewers and all of these things, we've not taken any debt for that. We've done all these projects, and plus we've been able to bring the tax rate down. Now, with the police station, our tax rate is going to go up to about $1.53 or $1.54. But I think if anybody doubts that we need a new police station, I invite you to come to City Hall and let me show you what they're working in right now. We hear things in the hallway that we shouldn't, because they have nowhere to take people when they come in for a complaint. So the police station is something that's been overdue far too long.
How does the city work with and support local nonprofits to address issues such as homelessness, food insecurity, substance abuse, access to services, et cetera? Has it been 20 minutes already?
It's been 20 minutes.
We've got a bowl full of questions still, so.
I'm going to leave it like this. If you want to leave, or you want to go ahead and announce the prize winners, and if anybody wants to leave, go ahead. If you want to stay around, I'll stay here till midnight answering questions. But I value your time, and I don't want to put you on the spot. But let's answer the last one.
So how does the city work with and support local nonprofits to address issues such as homelessness, food insecurity, substance abuse, access to services, etc.?
You know, that's a difficult one to really answer, because we really don't have any social services structured in the administration of the city. We're very fortunate to have Stability First that we can turn to. We used to always be able to say, well, let's take someone to the Man of Mission. Well, the Man of Mission closed down, and I understand today that building's been sold and will be turned into something else. So we do struggle for those services. But, you know, we try to work closely with Stability First and anyone else that we can turn to for their expertise to handle this. But it is a difficult situation.
With all of the newly completed projects, venues, sidewalks, new police station, paving, etc., what will the effect be on taxes? We've talked about that. With all the new houses planned, how is the city welcoming and engaging new residents?
By having things for them to do as they come in. If anybody's been in our downtown, how wonderful it looks, and how we are going to welcome them, bringing them there, have things for their children to do, have the free concerts. We've got a great school system, like I said earlier, public and private, to attract them. One of the things that we're going to be working on is a private-public partnership on the movie, call it a civic theater. It will be able to show movies, but we're looking more toward the arts also, for plays and things of that nature to take place there. So those are things that we're trying to have available for residents. You know, we've called, you know, the American Bowling Association, and no one is putting in bowling alleys right now. So we've tried different things, and a lot of them, our population just isn't quite there yet. You know, we're at about 12,000. It seems like the plateau there is about 20,000 that you've got to get to before you start having more and more activities coming to the community.
I will say that I had clients come in town recently from Idaho, California, etc., and we had them come into town, and we ate at Gather Round Barbecue. We did business in downtown, and they said we had no idea downtown Martinsville was so beautiful. Well,
you'd be surprised how many people from Bloomington come to the funeral home, and they're just amazed because they've never taken the time to come through our downtown. And even though the 637 closure was a pure pain in the bottom, it's one of the better things to happen to our downtown businesses. And Amy wants to come over and cut us off.
Film is Forever preserves a lifetime of meaningful moments and memories in a Hollywood-quality movie, so you and your family can always remember the people and the places that shaped you.
I was bashful and stuff, and she just put me at ease right away.
Email me at luke@filmisforever.com, and we'll set up a time to talk about preserving your loved one's legacy forever.